Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here. Alright everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. It's March, so that can only mean one thing. Real March Madness. It's a tale as old as time, Pixar versus Disney. In a brawl to end it all, we have selected 8 films from each studio. A total of 16 movies will battle head-to-head for superiority. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Pixar's Toy Story. A cowboy doll is profoundly threatened and jealous when a new spaceman figure supplants him as top in a boy's room. So John, Toy Story was Pixar's first movie, if I recall correctly.
Yes, this was Pixar's very first. And let's just say they hit it out of the park with this one.
On all accounts, I think this movie would feel like it was destined to fail. A lot of people did not have faith in this movie when they were originally making it, and I can understand why. It ushered in a new era of animation, which, love it or hate it, CGI animation was born, I feel like, when Toy Story came out.
I also feel like it's an interesting way to tell the story. They're telling it through, like, a toy's point of view.
We're on the last present now.
Last present!
It's a big one. It's a board game. Repeat, battleship.
One of the main reasons I think Toy Story works and it's so remembered is just the concept itself is amazing because of the imagination behind it. When you're not in the room, what are your toys doing? Right? It's an easy to understand concept, especially I think for a child and an adult. That makes it so endearing to people because, you know, when you're a child, you always have that imagination of what are your toys doing.
Tonight's plastic corrosion awareness meeting was, I think, a big success, and we want to thank Mr. Spell for putting that on for us. Thank you, Mr. Spell.
You're welcome.
I think it captures, right from the get-go, honestly, with this movie, you have Andy playing with his toys, like we would. There are toys that have no rhyme or reason, honestly, being together. You have, like, Mr. Potato Head's robbing a bank.
Now empty that safe. Money, money, money.
And Woody is trying to stop him with the cowboy doll.
Reach for the sky!
Oh no, Sheriff Woody. I'm here to stop you, One-Eyed Bart.
And they have, like, the Slinky dog going out there with a force field.
Can't touch me, Sheriff. I brought my attack dog with a built-in force field. Well, I brought my dinosaur who eats force field dogs.
That really captures what it feels like to be a kid right away. Because that's what you would do with your toys. You would have just crazy scenarios you'd be throwing them in. And this movie's not afraid to embrace that in any turn. And I think that imagination, again, just carries out through the whole entire plot of this movie.
And that's the thing, too. Like, I feel like they spend enough time with the toys to get to know each and every one of them, or at least most of them, that you can kind of understand their point of view and stuff, too.
The story itself, I think, is incredibly imaginative, but without these characters, this movie would not be as popular as it is, I don't think. You have the amazing Tom Hanks lending his voice to Woody, the egotistical, I'm number one kind of character.
What are you doing under the bed?
Nothing. I'm sure Andy was just a little excited, that's all. Too much cake and ice cream, I suppose. It's just a mistake.
Which I do have some issues with, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Which is funny because Tom Hanks is such a likable personality, so to see him playing this jealous character by all means and insecure, I think that's really funny, just having him voiced by Tom Hanks.
Okay, ooh, well, so you want to do it the hard way, huh?
Don't even think about it, cowboy.
Oh, yeah? Tough guy?
And he brings him out wonderfully. I mean, his voice is so synonymous with Woody. I don't think I can separate the two. It's very hard to. And I think a lot of kids, especially during the 90s when this came out, I think they would have a hard time doing that.
And I got a quick question for you. Which one in this movie is your favorite character?
I would always say I'm a Buzz Lightyear fan for sure.
Not only do I like Buzz, the character, but I feel like in this movie he plays so many different parts, especially when he's, "Leave me alone, I am Mrs. Nesbit."
You get it? You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit.
Like that part always gets
I love this little laugh.
Snap out of it, Buzz!
And we have to give it to Tim Allen. He became very synonymous with Disney over time. He did the Santa Claus, Home Improvement was part of the Disney family, so he had a lot of popularity behind him. To see him bring his voice to Buzz Lightyear, I would argue he's maybe the most talented voice actor in this movie, because everything he has to deliver, I have to believe. It has to be deadpan, has to be to the point.
Well, no. Actually, I'm stationed up in the Gamma Quadrant of Sector 4. As a member of the elite Universe Protection Unit of the Space Ranger Corps, I protect the galaxy from the threat of invasion from the evil Emperor Zurg, sworn enemy of the Galactic Alliance.
Oh, really? I'm from play school. And I'm from Mattel.
It works. Their first confrontation is iconic. When Woody goes to the top of the bed, he looks up, and Buzz is looking around like he's on a stranded planet.
Buzz Lightyear to Star Command. Come in, Star Command. Star Command, come in. Do you read me? Why don't they answer?
That scene for me, it just works. And then when they're going back and forth having their interactions, it works because it's so deadpan. The delivery is just spot on for me.
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
It's also crazy to think about like how they do this voice acting. How each voice actor has it a little bit different. Like some are in the booth, some are with people, you know.
Right.
But like just their delivery and how he captured that character was so important and just amazingly done.
That and they're just their sheer chemistry together, for sure. You could tell they have this competitive edge to them in the beginning, right? Like they really dislike each other to some extent.
I just want you to know that even though you tried to terminate me, revenge is not an idea we promote on my planet.
Oh, well, that's good.
But we're not on my planet, are we?
No.
And you really do see a genuine friendship, I think, grow throughout the movie, which carries on into the future films. But this movie really does a good job at just showing that friendship evolve and grow. We also have other characters. This movie did a good job taking iconic classic toys and just kind of bringing them to life. Don Rickles lending his voice to Mr. Potato Head. I love Mr. Potato Head. He even uses his classic Don Rickles line, "What are you looking at, you hockey puck?"
You uncultured swine! What are you looking at, you hockey puck?
Like, you know, stuff like that. Mr. Potato Head kind of like the instigator for an investigation against Woody.
What are you trying to pull?
Nothing.
Oh, that is disgusting.
Murderer!
No!
You murdering
no,
dog!
it's not what you think, I swear!
Say that for the jury. I hope Sid pulls your voice box out, you creep.
No!
Jim Varney, rest in peace as well, as Slinky Dog. I love Jim Varney. You know, you can't tell me you don't love the Ernest movies to some extent. So he plays that calm, cool, collected Slinky Dog. Like, hey man, I'm just hanging out.
Hey, Slinky?
Right here, Woody. I'm ready this time.
No. Slink.
Oh, well, all right. You can be ready if you want.
Not now, Slink. I got some bad news.
Bad news?
Rex, played by Wallace Shawn, you know, the insecure dinosaur.
How you doing, Rex?
Were you scared? Tell me honestly.
John Ratzenberger, who's actually in every single Pixar movie he does lend his voice to. This was his start, playing Ham the piggy bank, the sarcastic little piggy bank.
He's sick.
Oh, you sunk it. Are you peeking?
Oh, quit your whining and pay up. No, not the ear. Give me the nose. Come on.
How about 3 out of 5?
Everyone else does a good job. I mean, Bo Peep's in this movie. She doesn't really become relevant until Toy Story 4, but that's a whole nother conversation that we're not having. Again, the cast just really works. The only argument I could say is maybe the human characters really don't stand out, minus Sid, which we'll get to a little bit later too. But again, just great voice work. And it's, again, the leads I think really do carry this movie significantly. This movie's themes are really what carries it too, I think. We have great themes about friendship and acceptance, and I think all levels of maturity can understand those to a level, whether you're a child or you're an adult. Buzz Lightyear, I think, arguably has one of the most interesting storylines if you really sit down and you look at it. The movie starts off, you know, he comes to this land, he doesn't know who he is. He thinks he's a space ranger. He comes into this room. Through shenanigans, Woody tries to get rid of Buzz. He knocks him out a window. They go on a little journey, and they end up at the crazy kid Sid's neighbor's house where he likes to destroy toys. Through that time, Buzz discovers that he's not a space ranger. He actually has to come to terms through a pseudo-psychological breakdown that he's a toy. And I think there's some merit to that storyline where you can't be what you think you're going to be. Like, you're not able to obtain that, but you have to accept the role in life that you're playing, where he's going to be a toy, and he has to accept, like, this is what he has to do to have a happy life. Again, way deeper than you would think, especially at first glance. There's a lot of moving parts to that whole theming.
I feel like not only just with the theming, but then also adding the music too with it. Like just that part where he watches space on TV.
Best of all, high pressure space wings to infinity and beyond.
Not a flying toy.
Get your Buzz Lightyear action figure and save the galaxy near you.
And he goes to go jump off because he's like, and the music just playing in the background and just helping towards the moment.
Oh, beautiful.
It just adds everything to it that you're just, wow, like you can totally put yourself in that picture in life.
It is. It's beautiful. That's actually probably one of my favorite scenes is when he wants to fly, right? He wants to prove to himself that he can do it.
But no, it can't be true. I could fly if I wanted to. Like a bird in the sky. If I believed I could fly, why I'd fly.
To infinity and beyond.
And he just can't. He just falls to the ground, and it's so heartbreaking.
Clearly I will go sailing no more.
Truly, that is one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the movie, and he's like got his arm next to him, and he's all scrolled out. This movie really knows how to use its score. We also have some songs by Randy Newman. Now, Randy Newman, it's a love-hate. Some of his music's like, all right, you know, it's a little corny, but I think it adds a mood almost to this movie, because you're kind of telling, like a classic Disney movie, which I think we'll get into when we talk about some of the classic movies. They're telling the story through the music. Right? They're not singing the songs, but they're using the background. They're using just these set pieces to move the story. Just like when Woody and Buzz are having their conflict, right? And they have the song Strange Things Are Happening to Me. And you see just everything changing. And Woody just like, he can't, almost overcome by it. All the Space Ranger stuff moving in and him getting shafted to the side. That's a brilliant part of the movie. You could really just have like lines of dialogue or just scene after scene showing it. Instead, this movie brilliantly uses a montage to show that occurrence happening. And I think that's really clever. And honestly, what this revolves right back to me, every time I watch Toy Story, I start to compare it to early Disney movies. Early Disney movies, I always felt like had a lot of imagination, had a lot of heart, had a lot of soul. You can argue animation today is a little bit different, and I think there's definitely an argument for that. This movie definitely encompasses like early Disney theory of just making sure you have the imagination, you have the heart, you have the soul, and bring that into your story.
And this movie also adds to like the comedic timing in this movie, just some of the jokes that aren't like a necessary huge part, but I feel like add so much to this movie.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
Oh, no. Buzz, look, an alien! Where? Ah!
Especially even when they're in the claw, the aliens go, the claw.
And is that like a take on cult culture?
Claw is our master. Claw chooses who will go and who will stay.
This is ludicrous.
Where they're like, oh my god, like, see what I mean? Like, that's for adults. Like, kids aren't going to get that at all. They're not going to be like, what are they talking about? Where they're like, almost like they're going to drink the Kool-Aid, the aliens, while the claw comes down and whisks them away.
I have been chosen. Farewell, my friends. I go on to a better place.
That's totally a joke for adults, but it's not so adult themed where a kid can't laugh at it and have a good time. That's what I think really works about Pixar. If you really want to make an argument for why Pixar movies can be so good, it's because they nail a line for humor that's just adult enough for adults, but not too over the top where kids can't understand it. And I think that seems like a perfect example of that. Even the laser envy joke, a lot of people love to refer to that when Buzz is shooting his laser and then like Woody's like, it's not a laser, it's a little light bulb that blinks.
How come you don't have a laser, Woody?
It's not a laser. It's a little light bulb that blinks.
What are they really comparing there? And Mr. Potato's like, oh, he's got some laser envy there.
What's with him?
Laser envy.
It's like a dick measuring contest between the two. Again, they're not saying that in the movie. They're using it as a joke, a high joke for adults, but also just a funny joke for kids, right? Where he's just like, oh, they're making fun of his little light bulb. They don't get what that means.
What do you say I get someone else to watch the sheep tonight?
Hell yeah.
Before we move on to some of my negatives, where I have a couple things I do want to talk about, what are some of your favorite lines in this movie? Because I think this movie, when you really look at it, it brings up so many quotable scenes. A couple for me. The Combat Carl scene is always one of my favorites. I just love, oh, it's a Combat Carl.
Oh, no. It's a Combat Carl.
I feel like these scenes have become memes in today's culture, so I don't know if it's like our generation and new generations discovering it, where they're bringing all these scenes like to the forefront. Especially like, you're a sad, strange little man. You have my pity. Farewell.
You are a child's plaything!
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity. Farewell.
Like things like that.
Besides Buzz Lightyear being Mrs. Nesbit, because I find that part just hilarious. And just like how he's so down in the dumps right there, and he's just like going through his little pity party and stuff.
Oh, God. All of it's gone. Bye-bye. Woo, see ya.
What happened to you?
One minute you're defending the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister.
But also, like, when the Green Army men are going downstairs, and then the mom walks through and hits, like, most of them with the door, and then steps on the guy who's, like, the minesweeper guy.
Barbecue! Ow! What in the world? Oh, I thought I told him to pick these up.
Right.
And she steps on him and he's all crunched. And he's like, just leave me alone to die here. And
then without me, I just...
And the guy goes, we never leave a soldier behind.
Go on without me. Just go.
A good soldier never leaves a man behind.
It's such a great scene because it's piggybacking off of like classic war movies as well. Just like the whole like, can't leave a soldier behind, got to keep going. But that's the imagination too, right? Like if you were a kid playing with your little soldier guys, like that's how you would think they would act, right? That's how you would imagine the little army soldiers to act. Let's go into some negatives. So unfortunately, as much as I love this movie, there's things about it that I think overall haven't aged well. A lot of it really just has to do with the animation. CGI, for as wonderful and unwonderful as it is, this movie was the first of its kind to do like a full feature-length movie. And it shows. I think there's a lot of scenes, especially comparing it to now, that just didn't age well. A couple things being, some of the movements are truly nightmare fuel, especially the facial expressions for some of the toys. Woody's eyes, I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I feel like one eye's going up, one eye's going down. There's some just really weird scenes that they're quick, but they're in there. A lot of surfacing issues. Like you can tell they weren't focused really on the backgrounds with this movie or the surfaces. Some of them look really blurry at times. Like they just didn't like when you play like a game, for example, if you're playing a video game and they didn't upload the full texture pack, it kind of looks like that at times where it's just like, what's going on there? What was that supposed to be? Unfortunately though, I think the worst victims, and John, you have to agree about this with me, are the human characters and Scud the dog. They did not age well at all. I was reading some trivia about this movie, and one thing that they did mention was, and I did notice this, I guess I didn't really put two and two together, that when Andy's having his birthday party, when the little army men are going to search for what's going on with the party, all the children are Andy's character model with different skin tones and different clothes. They're all exactly the same kid. I get why they did that. You know, was it super important to have all these distinguishable children? No. But at the same time, a little bit of effort would have helped. And you could tell they're just not confident. Like hair is kept relatively short. All the boy characters, even Molly has short hair. The mom's hair is in a bun, so it doesn't have to show strands or anything like that. Scud the dog, just like, oh, he's really terrible. Fur is just not there. I don't know what's going on. He's got some clashing with some of his textures. And that goes into Sid, too. Sid being a great antagonist in this film. We really didn't go into that too much, but Sid really is a great villain, especially for toys where he's that kid who's just going to destroy all your toys and do what he wants with them.
Doctor, you've done it! Hannah! Jeannie's all better now.
I think that's great. Fortunately, Sid, he's scary for the wrong reasons. He's scary because of how the textures look on him. It just really doesn't work. You can give them some slack because it was the time, but I think it still needs to be acknowledged that they were more focused on the toys than they were animating people, which of course, you know, Pixar did improve on in the future, but at this point in time, they just really weren't there with that. Another thing I would say is Woody can just be downright unlikable, which is and isn't the point. I just feel like Woody becomes really, really annoying about midway through the movie where he's just like, why am I rooting? Do I care what happens to you?
Will Andy pick me?
Don't count on it! Oh!
I was almost like, when they left him outside the gas station, I was like, I'll just leave him there. At that point, it's hard to say because we were talking about earlier about Tom Hanks being such a likable personality. You took the world's most likable man and somehow you made him intolerable for me to a point where it's just like, Woody, what are you doing? And I think even at some point they said Woody was even more unlikable in early drafts of the script. So God, I wouldn't want to see what that looked like. Essentially at the end, it's like, all's forgiven. We're friends now. Oh, okay. Well,
you got a friend in me.
Seriously, you got an enemy in me, more likely. Also, something I've noticed, and I didn't notice this when I was younger, this is more of a thing now, there are definitely some pacing issues with this movie towards the middle. I think when we get to them trying to get back to Andy's house between, you know, falling out the window, going to the gas station, getting to Sid's house, and when they get to Sid's house, I feel like the pace considerably slows down for a little bit till it picks up towards the finale. I feel like there's just like a long point of where the movie's just not that it's spinning its wheels, but it's not getting to that conclusion. Like, there's definitely some stuff they could have trimmed out. Even arguably, like, the whole Pizza Planet thing, as fun as it is having the claw machine with the aliens, that whole situation, I feel like it slows down the movie a little bit for me. So I think we're at that point, though, where we're going to give our final scores. I'm going to give Toy Story an A.
This is the part where we blow up!
Not today!
I think it's a great movie. I think it's a classic, one of Pixar's best. I would even say, in my opinion, this isn't the best Toy Story movie. I do have another one where I think that is better, but as far as first attempts go, this movie is fantastic. The characters are memorable. These created childhood icons for a lot of people. These characters are ingrained in pop culture, especially Woody and Buzz. Again, I did, critique some of the style as far as the CGI, but I won't let that draw you back. This movie has an incredible story. You watch this movie once, you're going to want to watch it 10 more times. It really holds strong. John, where do you stand with this movie?
This movie gets a solid A+ for me.
Buzz! You're flying!
This isn't flying. This is falling with style.
One of my all-time favorite kids movies, children's movies. Just one of those great movies that I always like watching. That anytime I sit down to watch this movie, I'm never, after watching it, like, oh, why'd I watch that again? You still get the comedy out of it. You still get the story. You still get everything from it. And I feel like it's one of those definitely top Pixar movies.
No, it is. It gets a lot of points for being the first to do it. I don't think it's Pixar's best movie. And like I said earlier, I don't even believe it's the best Toy Story movie out of the bunch. But there's no question that this movie has cemented itself a legacy of just brandishing Pixar, making Pixar what it is today. If we didn't have Toy Story, there would be no Pixar. There would be no CGI animation boom like there was. This movie does so much for the culture of animation that you have to commend it. So John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us over on YouTube at The Real Movie Guys on YouTube. Go over there, watch this, like our channel, subscribe. You can also find us over on Twitter. Let us know what you thought about this movie or what you think are some of your favorite Pixar movies. Maybe we'll be covering them in this month too. You can also find us over on Instagram. We've been putting a lot of stuff up there, so you can go check all that out. You can also listen to us on many podcasting platforms such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure, we are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you're here right now, hey, greatly appreciate it. Just search out Real Movie Guys. We should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy over there, he's John. We are your Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. The battle rages on as Real March Madness, Disney versus Pixar continues. We'll catch you next time. See ya!